Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, Mighty Bjorn, and today for you, have a bit of a gear review. Now originally I was trying to do this review out in the field, however, the problem is I had some camera issues. So I wasn't able to get the review done out in the field. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get out to the range again, and I'm not resetting this holster back up. But what I'm going to be reviewing is the Blackhawk leg drop platform, the Tacticool, because it is more tactical than tactical leg drop system. Okay, so let's throw a couple snippets out there, little information about the system itself. I believe it is made of Kydex. It's actually, the plastic is pretty tough. The straps are kind of like they're elasticy, but I'm not quite sure what the straps are made out of. I almost want to say they're nylon, but I don't think they're made of a nylon. But they are pretty heavy duty, and they're pretty thick. And yeah, as I said, they're pretty stretchy too. The buckles are pretty good. They release very easy when you need them to release. They don't release when you don't need them to release. So very good on the buckle side of things. You can get these in 3 different colors. This is the Coyote Tan. You can also get them in black. You can also get them in olive drab. That being said, the black is more like it's more like a charcoal gray. It's more gray than black, really, like a really dark gray. Um, there's also a quick release system. I don't have that mounted on here, but there is a quick release system for these, which I didn't run mine with a quick release. I just mounted directly to the mounting point. And that being said, from what I understand, it looks like these are actually for the Serpa holsters, but these might be modifiable for other holsters as well as they might be able to fit other holster systems. I don't really know. That being said, I've only seen these being used with the Serpas. Now, one beneficial thing about it is the system itself, right here in the middle, is your mounting point for the Serpa for your holster. And then here you have 2 additional mounting points. And what I've seen is I've seen mounts for like a flashlight or a knife, and I've also seen magazine mounts. So you could also attach magazines to this. Personally, I don't know why you would do that, because essentially you're going to mount this holster on whatever side you're drawing your gun from. So if you're right-handed, you're going to have this on your right thigh. It's going to be kind of a pain in the ass to reach for a magazine that's on your right side with your left hand, unless you throw your handgun or whatever in your other hand. But me personally, okay, I prefer my handgun on my right side, my magazines on my left side in a mag pouch. That might be just me. Um, Next thing that these are pretty good at is these link up to your belt. They're actually Velcro. They're double Velcroed, so they're pretty dang secure. I'm gonna sit that down. I'm gonna open this up for you. So there's one, okay, and then it opens again, and now you got the whole system open. And it does mount to different types of belts. There's even Velcro on the inside of it, that if you have a belt that has, a Velcro backer on it, you could Velcro it even to the belt, which would probably be helpful, and I'll get into why here in a bit. Also, I'm going to get into why here in a bit of why I'm switching away from the system, because if you do pay attention to my YouTube channel, there's already a couple videos where I am wearing this rig. That's because, well, it's the only rig system I have, and I'll get into why I went to this. Actually, let's get into why I went into this. Well, yeah, let's cover this first. So to disconnect the system, you can actually just drop this whole system from your belt by obviously undoing these. These are the leg straps. There's 2 of them. And then these here are just a push button, and it comes right out. And surprisingly, I was a little concerned about that at first, and I was expecting that to actually cause some issues, but they're pretty fastened in there, believe it or not. That is the one weak point I see in the system, though, if there is a weak point per se. The plastic does have a little bit of flex to it. I'm not sure if it's actually plastic, polymer, or Kydex. I believe it's actually Kydex, but it does have a little bit of flex to it, but it's also really stiff and rigid in certain areas. Um, when it came to actually holding the pistol was always secure to the system. It was really good on those ends. I didn't use the quick release, so I can't really quote the quick release. That being said, honestly, after I got the holster on there and I started doing things like climbing in my car and that, started kind of wishing I had the quick release system mounted on here. The only reason I didn't go with the quick release system though is because when this is mounted on your leg, you already have a bit of standoff because of the holster. The quick release system adds more standoff. So that's kind of why I didn't go with the quick release system. So that's going to be kind of a personal preference if you want to go with a quick release system. What I would say is if you're going to be in your car for a long period of time with your gun on your hip, you probably should go with the quick release system. So that way, like you can take the gun off the holster, climb in your car, put your gun off to the side, and then whenever climb out of the car, you put it back on. For me, my gun range is literally right down the road. It's a 10-minute drive for me. So yeah, that's really the only time I'd wear this is when I was heading to the range. I'd also wear it for hunting as well, but that's a little bit different because there I'm not trying to climb into a car. And honestly, the quick release system doesn't really do anything in that scenario. Now, my biggest beef with this system and why I'm getting, well, actually, let's talk about the benefits first. So, obviously, the system can be quickly disconnected. You can put a quick disconnect on there, take the holster off, or you can just drop the whole system quickly. So, I find those systems beneficial. The one thing I find the absolutely most beneficial, though, with this is I don't know where you live, but here in my state, we have something called winter, and we get snow in the winter, and it gets pretty fucking cold. Um, so I tend to obviously, have to wear heavier garments. And essentially, what I was finding in the fall and in the winter time, whenever I was out at the range or even the early spring, if I went to draw my gun, sometimes my gun would get snagged up in like my hoodie or my jacket I was wearing with a belt holster. Um, and even in the springtime, like when I was wearing if I'd be wearing a tactical rig, it sometimes it'd get snagged up in the tactical rig. So I went to this system. So that way I could drop my pistol away from my tactical rig or away from any garments I was wearing and make it easier to get to my handgun and draw my handgun. And it does work on that end. I'll give it props for that. It works great on that end. Um, Here's kind of what the issue is though, is the straps. So instead of a single strap system, it goes with two straps to your belt, which sounds good. But here's kind of the issue at the end of the day, and I've only had this issue with this leg strap system versus other leg strap systems I have. Because I even have a hunting revolver with a drop leg system like this, but it's a different system. It's got a single strap. The problem is like this is really the most I could get out of the most adjustment I could get out of this system. I probably could get more if I fussed with it and undid a bunch of straps and things of that nature, but I didn't go that route. I want to keep it like this. And honestly, like this, it just didn't work because what would happen is the system is designed to have these spread like this in like a V. And the problem is on my belt, over time from doing drills and things of that nature, it would slowly start to do this. And as you can see there, right there's the problem. If you're paying attention, this whole system would lower. And that was a big issue. And actually, it ended up causing issues. And I do have the video up on my YouTube. It's basic. What is it? It's beginner pistol fundamentals and basic drills. Okay. And essentially, I'm there trying to do drills and display what I'm trying to explain. And what had happened is after a whole day of running around and doing drills and things of that nature, The whole system had actually lowered because the straps had moved closer together. And it got to the point where, for those of you that aren't aware, the Serpa holster is a level 2 retention system. It's got a button that you have to press on the side. And then when you draw the handgun, you got to pull it straight out. And that was kind of the problem as I was, because basically because of how my leg tilts, it would also start to do this and kind of stay and conform with my leg. And essentially, what was happening is it was causing issues with me hitting the button, and it was causing issues with me pulling the handgun straight out. And what would happen at the end of the day is essentially I was getting to the point where I was wrestling to get my gun out of the holster, and every time I would go to draw my gun, I would have to really tilt far to the right to reach my handgun. So it caused some problems, and I realized at the end of the day that the problems wasn't worth it. And essentially, personally, I don't recommend this system. There's other systems out there, especially now that Blackhawk has come with a more of a mid drop system that will successfully do what I want it to do. But the system is actually is also Kydex that goes around the belt. So I'm not going to have an issue with straps moving around, bouncing. I'm not going to have my straps moving in closer and the position of my holster changing. And that was kind of the issue with this. And there's some things I probably could overlook realistically, but for me, that's something that can't be overlooked. The fact that it made it more difficult for me to draw my pistol. If it's kind of one of those things of I need my pistol and I need it now, I don't want to have to struggle getting it out of my holster because my leg drop system failed. Essentially, that's what it comes down to: is it failed to stay in place where it needs to be. And I tried a couple different things to prevent the straps from actually moving closer, and essentially nothing worked. Basically, if there was, and I don't know if it's got to do. Understand, guys, I carry a 1911 most of the time. Mostly, it's my Springfield EMP4, which it is a heavier handgun. So maybe because of the weight of my handgun caused the issue. I don't know. But I tried a couple different things, a couple different ways of mounting it to my belt and everything else, including even I went out and even bought suspenders for the belt. So that way the belt wouldn't slide down as well. But basically what would happen is it would just put more torque on the belt and actually pull the belt down even more. But instead of pulling the belt all the way around my waist, it would only pull it in pull it all towards a certain section, if you will. So honestly, this system, while there's a lot of good features to it, it's got a very damning issue with it. And I personally can't recommend this. I would not recommend anyone buying this. And maybe if you figure out something I didn't figure out, good for you, for whoever's watching this that may have one. But no, I would actually, I mean, these are cheap, but I would avoid these. There's better systems out there, including better systems from Blackhawk themselves. So, yeah, that's really all I got to say about this. I'm sorry I couldn't get this video done out in the field, but basically real life has gotten in the way, and I'm not going to be able to get back out to the range anytime soon, or at least anytime soon that I can guarantee. And I want to get this video done and out of the way. And honestly, this setting kind of gives you a better look of what the actual rig system even looks like. But anyway, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have yourself a wonderful day.